Movies here. Since I'm doing my reviews for vampire movies because of Morbius, here's my review for the fourth vampire film I'm doing a review for, and that is the 1992 film Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now, this movie was directed by Francis Ford Coppola, the director behind classics like The Godfather, Apocalypse. It was cool seeing him show up at the Oscars this week. That was really cool. This is of course this was like a new take of the iconic Bram Stoker's classic vampire novel, which starred Gary Oldman, who plays Count Dracula, who's so is determined to reunite with his lost love, Mina, played by Winona Ryder. And so, like, Dracula also begins a reign of terror and seduction, dying the life of from her closest friend, Lucy, played by Sadie Frost. And together they must try and drive Dracula away here. And Gary Oldman, I mean, he's pretty much a chameleon. When this guy wants to really get into a role, he knows how to get into it. Whether he's doing something like playing Sid Vicious and Sid and Nancy, which was, I believe that was actually his breakout role, if I'm not mistaken, or whether he's playing Winston Churchill in Darkest Hour. I mean, the guy knows how to be a chameleon here, and he does such a great job. With the makeup he used in this was insane. Probably one of my favorite Gary Oldman performances. He really embodied the role of Dracula. Of course, there's been other great actors who portrayed Dracula beforehand. Obviously, Bela Lugosi was a popular one, but Gary Oldman is definitely up there as one of the best on-screen Draculas. Now, there's also some other really cool cast members too, like you had Anthony Hopkins was in this, Keanu Reeves, Richie Grant, Cary Elwes. I mean, Francis Ford Coppola, seeing him do like a horror Dracula movie like Bram Stoker's Dracula was intriguing. I mean, seeing him go from something like The Godfather to this was intriguing. And obviously, this movie got released about like 2 years after Godfather Part 3, so there's that. It definitely also had some really cool elements here. Winona Ryder, of course, was pretty popular at the time. Obviously, she was very big in the 80s with stuff like Heathers. But then, of course, she broke out more mainstay in the 90s with stuff like Edward Scissorhands and, of course, Dracula. And she was actually really solid in this. And, of course, her and Keanu Reeves have pretty much worked together tons of times before. So this was, I believe, their first feature together they did. And they were actually really decent in this. Keanu Reeves in pretty much a Dracula movie. What more can you say for there? But yeah, and of course, this isn't like gore or anything, but man, when it wants to get pretty bloody with him, like talking blood, it gets pretty bloody there. But the period piece aspect was cool. I mean, this is a really intriguing film, and I believe it scored a couple of Oscar nominations, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, is this as good as, let's say, Francis Ford Coppola's Godfather? Obviously not. It's definitely nowhere near as good as The Godfather, but it's a really decent film worth checking out. If you guys haven't seen it, it is on Netflix. A really fun little vampire film from the 90s. Anyway, let me leave you guys. Have you ever seen Bram Stoker's Dracula? If so, what show? Are we a fan? Are we not a fan of it? Favorite scenes, favorite moments? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notification. This is him signing out.